So we have now a learning activity which is equivalent to 2 questions on the midterm. The first question is doing the HTML page, and the second question is doing the corresponding JavaScript. So you will be expected to create a web page that has the elements as shown. We have a number box here where I have typed -17, another number box where I have typed 40, and that's like the first one is supposed to be starting temperature, and the second is supposed to be ending temperature. And then we have a button called draw table, and once that button is clicked, then we should have a table that gives Celsius and Fahrenheit. So Celsius goes from starting temperature, that is input, and up to the ending temperature, that is also input by the user. We will assume increment of 1, which will make it a very long table, but that is okay. So in order to do this, I have a file called, so let me just go to my web page. And I have a file called temperature table.html, which right now doesn't show anything, but it does have some stuff that I expect you guys to. A lot of it is copied, of course, right? So we have the document type HTML and things like that. Then we have the title right here on line 4. Then the program that I'm going to use, the JavaScript, that's on line 6. And then the rest of that you see from line 8 to 16, we don't have to worry about that. When you're in the exam, you could just write down that as something like jQuery stuff. Of course, I cannot do that. I have to have it because I'm going to try and make sure that whatever I'm going to do here actually works. Hopefully it will work. And then this is where the actual thing is going to be. So I'm going to have a body, then /body, then close my HTML/HTML, and I am good to go. So in the body, I'm going to have a div section, just like with the data role equal to page. And then let me just close that one. /div, and I think I'm okay there. Then I'm going to also again have an input box for my starting temperature. So the type will be number, and for the same one I will also have a label. We should have an ID for this, shouldn't we? So ID is equal to start. Sounds good. And then I should also have the same thing for end. So we got 2 input boxes. I should have a label for each one. I don't know why it's not doing the indentations properly, but I'll have the label. And this is going to be for the ID's start. So I just keep on using consistently low. And this will be starting temperature. It says start in the specification, but I'm just going to make it a little better. /label. Okay. And I'll have a similar one here. Instead of start, of course, it will be for end. And I'm going to say that it's ending temperature. Then I should have a button. On click, it should call maybe a function called draw table. Open and closed. And then the button should say draw table. And the button ends. I think we are okay now. The one last thing that we wanted to do was have a table where we're going to draw the table. So we'll give it the ID data as we did before. And we will end the table. Okay. So this is our web page, and that would be the first part of your question. Let's see how that particular table looks now. Sorry, the page looks, and that looks all right. We're going to we don't have the JavaScript, so there's nothing we can do right now. So let me just create a JavaScript. Temperature table.js is what we decided it will be. Let me make the font a lot bigger, and that will be 24 bold. That should be enough for us to see it. Okay. So this is our web page. Now let us write our function to be draw table, and the midterm is open book, as I have mentioned before. So that means we can bring some of these things from the class and then use those. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my data table, and that is going to be from the document .get element by ID. Call this data, and as we did in the previous exercise, we will call this we will make the inner HTML to be empty string for now, and then now the next thing we want to do is add a header row. We don't have to have the comments when you are writing the exam, of course. And then we create the first row. That's going to be data table dot insert row, and then I'm going to add it in the location 0. Then I'm going to have the first column, which is going to be Celsius. I'll just use something short here. So row dot insert cell in location 0. So that's my first one, and then I'm going to add a second one. I'll just call this Fahrenheit, and then I'm going to add it in location 1. So that's the second cell or the second column. And why don't we just add some inner HTML to these and see if that will appear in our table when you click on the button. If that doesn't work, then we got a little bit of problem. So I'm going to say that is equal to, we want it to be Celsius. Okay, and let's do the same thing for the Fahrenheit, and we'll make this Fahrenheit. I probably should write it full. Hopefully the spelling is right. And now I'm going to go to my web page, reload it, and then let's see if this does that also. That's good. Maybe we should have border, and I'm going to put the border in the HTML page itself. It's not right, of course. This should really be done somewhere else in the CSS, but for now, That's how we go. Let's see if the border comes properly. If I click here, I should refresh, of course, and then the border comes out. So that's so far so good. The advantage of doing this in the exam is that you don't have to worry about whether it's working or not. Sometimes you can get stuck trying to get it right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my Celsius temperature. So my start will be equal to, from the document, I'm going to retrieve you can play along if you want. You can pause the video at any time, so you can copy these things. Eventually, you have to submit a paper copy of this so that we know that you have actually at least written it one time, so you will be prepared for the exam. And so we are going to get the start and the end points, and then my Celsius temperature is going to go from start, and it's going to keep on going as long as it's less than or equal to end, and I'm going to say C++. Let's do this. Then I'm going to now what do? I actually, since we know these things are working, I'm just going to copy this from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. And I'm going to just indent them a little bit. We already have created these variables. There's no need to create them again. And here, instead of adding it to row 0, I'm going to add it to -1. That means just next row, next row, next row, right? So let's see if this works. I haven't really done anything there, so I'm just going to just go 10 to maybe 12 just to see if it draws. I should refresh it, of course. So 10 to 12 and see if it draws. It's choking somewhere there. So something is not right. Document.get element by ID start. Let's just look at the source for this. Oh, I think it's probably went on forever. Okay, so let's have a look at the source for this, and everything looks okay. ID start, ID is end. For the other one, number. My loop seemed to go on forever. I think that was the problem there. Let me get that one. No, that's not the one. Where is this coming from? This is the one that I just now wrote. And I said C is equal to S, and S is less than or equal to E, which is obviously an infinite loop. It's the C that is changing. So now let's see what happens. I'm going to refresh. And let's do 10 and 12. And then, yeah, so at least it added something from 10 to 12. Now, instead of actually displaying Celsius, it should display the value of C. And instead of displaying Fahrenheit, it should do the conversion. So conversion is supposed to be C multiplied by 9 divided by 5 plus 32. Let's try it. We'll have to refresh this, and we'll go from 10 to 15 and draw a table. That did not work because we had obviously made some kind of mistake here, and that was that we got the element when we should be getting its value. So let's take care of that. And let me refresh. Then we'll go 10 to 15 and draw a table, and voila, right? So we do have the whole thing working. Maybe we want to have some kind of fixed length or the number of decimal places, but that's not something that we have looked at before. So let's not add it to our existing learning activity. So I'm going to stop it here. Stop the broadcast.